Okay, how to work with integers. So first of all, let's talk about adding and subtracting. So with adding, if both signs are the same, then add the values of the numbers and take the common sign. So here's some examples. 5 plus 9, the 5 is positive, the 9 is positive, so add their values, take their common positive sign. This example, the signs are both the same again. So add their values, a value of 7 and 2, make a value of 9, and then take their common sign. Third example is also the same. So they both are negative, so both the same sign. So adding their values is 15, common sign would be negative. If the signs are different, then we would subtract the values and take the sign of the larger number. So here, 9 is positive, negative 2, opposite. So I'm going to subtract their values. The difference between a 9 and a 2 is 7. And I have more positives because 9 is larger. Different signs. So I'm going to subtract. So a 10 minus 8, the difference between them is a 2. But here I'm negative because the 10 is larger and it's negative. Last example. So I'm going to put the negatives together, the same sign. So I'm going to add those values to be 14, common sign, negative. Now here, these are different signs, so I'm going to take the difference, which would be 6, sign of the larger. When subtracting, I change the subtraction to an addition, and then I change the sign of the second integer. So I'm going to revamp these questions. So instead of 9 minus 8, I'm going to add a negative 8. Add a negative 17. I'm going to add a positive 5. I'm going to add, and then changing the sign is positive 10. Negative 6, I'm going to add, and then change it to a negative 3. And then on the last one, I'm going to change an add, and then to a positive 4. Then I follow the rules from above. So these signs are different, so I subtract 1, and then positive because 9 is larger. Different, so I subtract their numbers. So the difference between a 17 and a 10 is 7, but I have more negatives on that example. Same, so I add. Take this common sign, plus. Common, so I add them, common sign, positive. These are the same, so I add their numbers, so 6 plus 3 is 9, but I'm going to take the common negative. These are different, so I find the difference between a 5 and 4, which is 1, and I have more negatives, larger number. Okay, and then multiplying and dividing integers. So the rule is if there's a positive times a positive, it's positive. Positive number times a negative is negative. Negative times positive is negative. And two negatives make positive. So basically an odd negative equals negative, and an even amount of negatives equals positive. Okay, so here I have one negative, so negative. Here, no negatives, so positive. Two negatives, positive. Three negatives is negative. Two negatives is positive. Two negatives, positive. Two negatives, positive. Okay, so the only thing left to do is multiplying 4 times 9. So 35, and we said two positives, positive. Two negatives was the positive. Here I'm going to actually multiply these. So that would be 6, and then times by negative 7, so negative 42. Two negatives was positive 10, and two negatives is positive 6. And here, different location, but there's still two negatives, so positive answer. So if I did something tricky like this, Okay, so big question like this, you just have to figure out, is it positive or negative? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you had 4 negatives, this would be positive.